Hey everyone, I'm Vidush,
I am Yi.
I'm Hwandong.
and we have a data visualization about the global terrorism dataset, which basically has 50 variables and close to 180,000 observations, detailing terror events from the 1970s, from 1970 to 2018. And each of those terror attacks has been plotted on a graph as points, and we also have those as rows in our table. And we also have a map, which we can further explain.
Okay, so let's first take a look at this animation feature that we created. So the year is on the slider bar, and we can animate by year. And when we click on the button, we're going to see how the map, as well as the pie chart, changes. We can stop at any time if we see some trend that's like interesting and we want to explore. So here's the map, and the map has this legend called terror cases, and you can see that this map has different colors, different degrees of purple color, and the whiter the color is, the fewer terror cases there are in the country. And you can see there are some gray spots, and that means this country in that particular year just had no terrorist attacks at all, and that's a pretty safe country to live in at that time. And so we have another feature of the graph, of the map, which is show attack instance. So this plots the data instances of terrorist attacks in different countries. So we provide the latitude and longitude of different attack types, and the map is going to plot it. And just as an example, we can see that the United States has medium level attack rates, whereas somewhere in the Middle East you might find things that are more purplish. Well, maybe there's no purplish stuff here, but if we go back to the 1970s, we see that the United States is more purplish here because it just has relatively more attack instances in that year.
And then, if you observe closely, you'll see that the dots are different colors. Now, each of those colors corresponds to a color on our pie chart. So, the pie chart is basically a visualization of the types of attacks that happened in that particular year and the distribution of how many of those were bombing explosions or assassinations or unarmed assaults or hostage or like hijacking situations. So, for example, if you look at this event, it was an armed assault, and the weapon was firearms. So the type of attack is basically an armed assault, and it's like that color is light green, so it corresponds to the light green color in our pie chart, which is for armed assault. And we basically use a color palette to map the same color scheme for both of our attack types in our visualization in the map and in our visualization for the pie chart.
So through our map and pie chart, you can see the trend of increase or decrease of terrorism over the several decades. And also, you can also focus on a country, for example, America, to see the trend of a certain country. In 1970s, the America is nearly purple, but if you see 2000, it becomes pink, and if you see in 2014, then the color becomes whiter. Then next step is to go to our plot, which is the second tab of our project. So you can choose the region. So we have chosen North America, and then all the countries within the region will pop up here. Then same we choose United States of America here, and then you can see the trend that experienced a very significant decrease in between 1970s and 1980s. Here, there are several other options. You can color by attack type, you can color by weapon type, and also you can color by target type. So if you color by attack type, you can see that the major factors that contribute to the decrease is the decrease of bombing explosion and also the facility and infrastructure attack. Another thing you can do is to choose what to plot for the y-axis. In this case, we plot by the count, and then you can also plot by success rate. Unfortunately, this doesn't tell us a lot, but it is very interesting to look at that.
Okay, so in summary, this Shiny app that we created is a tool that helps you explore terrorism globally. So you don't have to limit yourself to the United States, because to demonstrate what our app can do, we used the United States as an example. But you can also look at other countries, for example, Greece, Italy, and you can look at the data for them as well. Just as long as you're interested in a certain country, you can just put in the relevant parameters and see what it looks like in terms of terrorism. Okay, so because we were looking at the United States just now, and we were curious about why the United States has this decreasing trend of terrorism over time. So we did some background search of scholarly articles that analyzed this, and we found that there are basically two reasons responsible for the spike in terrorist attacks in the 1970s. And one reason is a group of student radicals who are against the Vietnam War. They formed this organization called the Weather Underground, and they were kind of like one of the most famous terrorist groups in the United States history, and they were responsible for most of the bombing attacks in the country at that time, which corresponds to the attack type of the United States. You can see there are a lot of bombing instances around that time. And also the second reason there are a lot of terrorist attacks was that black people were pretty unsatisfied with the advancement of civil rights, so they responded radically, believing that they were doing this as out of self-defense, and that's another reason. So yeah, that's our project. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.